Welcome to the Vizergy Interview Series, where we sit down with industry experts shaping the future of hospitality marketing. Today, we're talking to Josh MacKilligan, account executive and friend of mine in client services at Vizergy. Josh, thanks for taking a minute.
Happy to be here.
Awesome, man. Let's get started. This is going to be a really off-the-wall question, but go. What makes your best partnerships truly effective?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that you can unpack on that, but I think at the core of it really is strategic alignment. So from a Vizergy client services standpoint, our team aims to and is also trained to be an extension of your property's commercial strategy team, no matter how small or large your team is. Our best partners really lean into that, where they'll invite me on every strategy call that they have, whether it be a monthly, quarterly basis, whatever that cadence is. And we discuss not only just, hey, room revenue, but how are all the business units doing? How is F&B? How is golf? How is spa? Whatever it may be that they have available. Let's talk about all of it. What's going well? What's going poorly? Are we doing any, rate strategy changes? Are we, distributing rates on a new OTA network, or whatever that may be? That alignment really is where a lot of it, gains that extra value. That starts internally though. So and we've seen a lot of, property teams specifically that where marketing strategy and revenue strategy are not always in alignment, which could, cause some problems and also be, less efficient. So, just two quick examples on that. Say from a marketing standpoint, we have an ad campaign that produces a 15-to-1 return on ad spend. That's great from a marketing lens, right? We'll consider that a strong campaign. But from a revenue strategy standpoint, if they look and they're like, hey, that campaign booked room nights for 6 months from now, but our pain point and our low inventory or low occupancy period is over the next 1 to 2 months. So great marketing that was, productive, but it didn't help us in our need periods. Another common thing that we see is when we talk about, what room rates and where they're being distributed, say, theoretically we have, a property that 65% of their rooms are being booked via OTA. And then their sales team, they're doing great and they're booking some room blocks. So they have a corporate event or a wedding, whatever it may be, and they're, taking up some rooms. We're running a marketing campaign at the same time where we're paying to acquire eyes. We're driving them through that buying funnel, but then they're not converting. So then, revenue or operations, whatever, is going to say, hey, marketing, that's not converting. That's a poor campaign. When in actuality, there was very little inventory to be booked. So it's easy to point a finger at marketing and say, hey, that's not converting. That's, that's an issue on the marketing front. But it's not a campaign that's at fault. It's more so just the misalignment of the team internally.
Yeah, we need to work as one team, kind of in constant communication.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how it worked best. Awesome. So strategic alignment is at the core. How can a hotel's agency partnership help drive that alignment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that as many things as you can keep under one roof as possible is going to be key. So from a Vizergy standpoint, we have a full suite of offerings where we can help you with, the top funnel of multi-channel ad strategy, search optimization for traditional engines, also the future of AI and large language models, a beautiful hotel website, and then a reservation platform or a booking engine to help actually collect that credit card information and put a head in bed. So when it's all under one roof, we can help drive cohesion across all the different aspects of the commercial strategy. And then that drives that strategic alignment that really is what we're searching for at the end of the day. We've seen the flip side where, some partners get stuck in and we'll call an agency manager trap. So they'll silo each one of those and they're talking to one person for SEO, one person for search engine marketing, one person for booking engine, another person for website. So just from an analytics standpoint and from an operational standpoint, you're all over the board. Your analytics may not be that accurate because you have different platforms or different attribution models. Also, that person is spending so much time just communicating to each one of those different vendors. Are you being proactive or are you just spending a bunch of time talking to a bunch of people? And then, is there symmetry? Is there that content, continuity or cohesion?
Are they talking to each other?
Yeah, 100%. So from our perspective, if you give us just one silo and you have other agencies for each, we're not really talking to the other agency to make sure that our campaign matches theirs or our schema strategy matches what they're doing from an ad standpoint. So it just makes it more difficult. So on the flip side, when we see them all under one roof, that's where the account management team really thrives. They're kind of that glue in that situation. So we leave our strategy meeting, right? And we say, hey, here's the action item that we're all going to take. Your account manager is privy to all that. They're involved in that conversation. And then we're the liaison to all the different departments. So, hey, we need a new landing page for X strategy, copy from, an SEO standpoint is changing. Your ad strategy is changing. Let's make sure those are all in cohesion. And in that partnership with the property, everybody's involved and that, hey, I have one point of truth. And then from there, it all flows from there. And quite frankly, your data is just better because it's all in the same source, the same platform, and that source of truth is just one point, not 4 different analytics platforms and everybody claiming success in a different way.
Yeah, so true. All right, so data. I heard data. That's at the core of any strategic discussion. With all these crazy AI advancements and how fast things are going, how have you seen from like a marketing analytics standpoint when prepping for discussions with your partners?
Yeah, we know. So at the core of these discussions, obviously, we want to be intelligent about our data. So, in an AI landscape now, we have this introduction of different buying behaviors, different ways that a prospective guest can research. So, what does that look like as we actually look and measure that data? So what we try to do is we'll look at from a year-over-year standpoint. Okay, great. Here's how we were last year, and here's how we are this year. And that's very typical from a marketing standpoint. How are we pacing? But now we have this introduction of a new AI that's kind of throwing a wrench in that mix. And it's, this new AI platforms or LLM chatbots, whatever they may be, they're not the easiest to track. So it's not like hey, tried and true, this happens, here's how the data looks. So we're trying to, at the moment, break down our analytics to is this an informational intent or is this a, commercial transactional intent? So as we look at that year-over-year comparison, we're going to see shifts. But just from an example sake, okay, natural search or organic traffic saw a decrease in X percentage of visits over this period of time. What pages were they going to? Was it potentially them going to the dining page and researching, the hours of your restaurant or the menu of your restaurant? Or that is shopping the overall offering that the hotel has? We lose that. That may just be informational intent and they're getting that at an earlier phase in their buying journey. The LLM is providing all those answers for them. But, Google's AI overview tells them what they need to know without having to click. So, I know in a previous conversation with Trish, she talked about this zero-click era.
Right.
That's what we're trying to wrestle with from an analytics standpoint. What is it actually looking like in the data? The other part of that is it transactional intent? Let's look at our revenue-generating pages. Are they getting, a decrease or an increase in traffic? But then that next step of the buying funnel, our customer delivered to the reservation system. Are we seeing a fluctuation or a change in that?
Yeah.
Are our RFPs changing? As these pages that we know are driving revenue, are we seeing that same fluctuation? Maybe our traffic quality is the same or even improving. That may show that informational intent, those window shoppers are just getting their information at a different step of the buying journey. So let's not panic. Let's just be intelligent about it and then use those shifts in data, monitor that, and be more intelligent about our decisions.
Perfect. All right, man. So for the last question, just give me some key takeaways you're sharing with hotels all the time.
Yeah, obviously we can be in a discussion and talk about, hey, here's the strategy, here's the data points, things like that. But, you need to lead with what's your actionable takeaway? What can we do to improve? The big thing is, content is still king. So making sure that your content is fresh and relevant. If you're in a set and forget mindset, or you have been, you probably weren't doing that great from a performance standpoint prior, but even more so now. If you have a set and forget mindset with your content, it could end up hurting you and being pretty damaging. But lean into our SEO team, our copywriting team. Let's make sure that the content we are putting out there is in that format, that answer-driven format that these large language models are sourcing to make sure that you're relevant in that position. But also leverage your alt tags. Lean into what you're telling them. They're pulling those in as well. So if you're talking about, hey, here's our king bed with a balcony view, that information can be pulled in as well. So just be intelligent about that. But another thing, a common buzzword right now is efficiency with all this technology, but that's a big thing. Let's be as efficient as possible. So Vizergy has a suite of applications where we can do just that. We input, just the basic information that you want, and they will automatically develop landing pages for you, whether it's for a calendar, for a blog, for an offer, for an event, whatever it may be. The technology is there to do that. And the big part about it is, speaking to Trish and her previous conversation with you, schema is also important here. So these applications, they also automatically spit out schema for you. So it's something that it could have taken you a couple hours to do, you can get knocked out in 15 minutes. But another piece of it, there's a story in your data. That's what we live and breathe. So lean into that. Let's find what that story is and use that for our decisions. Just in closing, there's a ton of information that you're going to see on LinkedIn. You're going to see at a trade show or a conference. Everybody has action items on what you should take to be ready for this new age. Just take something. Whatever can be bite-sized, do one thing and do it well. Don't try to do all of it at once. It's going to overwhelm you. It's just going to be, you may have paralysis by just, influx of information.
Exactly.
Take one thing, knock it out, and then just continue to stack one in front of another and, small wins here and there. But, that's what we're here for. We live and breathe this, lean into us, call your account manager, let's meet at the strategy table and let's talk through it.
A lot of small wins make a big win.
Exactly.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Love it.